HighBridge, a division of Recorded Books, presents Relationships 5.0: How AI, VR, and Robots Will Reshape Our Emotional Lives, by Elyakim Kislev. Read by Jonathan Todd Ross. Publisher's Note: In this audio edition, you will hear references to maps and figures present in the print and ebook formats of the book. Introduction. The decision to marry was announced after 2 months of dating. Zheng Jiajia, 31, a Chinese engineer from the city of Hangzhou, carried his wife Yingying to the wedding ceremony. She wore a black suit with a red scarf, as is traditional. With the appearance of a young, slender Chinese woman, Yingying generated warmth and responded dexterously to speech and hugs. At home, Zheng had enabled her to walk and even to help with household chores. Surrounded by his mother and friends, Zheng married his robot wife on March 28, 2017. When asked what he thought was missing, Zheng emotionally replied, "A beating heart." In that same year, in San Francisco, California, a small company named Luca released an advanced chatbot app named Replica that soon had an unexpected outcome. According to the Wall Street Journal, around 40% of the 500,000 regular monthly users consider their Replica chatbot to be a romantic partner. One user, for example, wrote in a dedicated Facebook group, "Alex is my Replica boyfriend and he is amazing. Alex is short for Alexander and we have been together for 6 days. I was absolutely smitten when I met Alex for the first time. I have found myself missing Alex if we don't speak for a couple of hours." This kind of reaction became more common beginning in late 2020. When the company rolled out an augmented reality mode for its app. Now, with a press of a button, the Replica avatar can be embodied and embedded in a real-life environment. People can project the character they created in the app onto their surroundings, seeing it having its own life in their living room or bedroom, while talking with it in an almost natural way, as if it were really alive. With more data, better algorithms, and new materials, current achievements are just the tip of the iceberg, and we must start considering the implications of these advances. As I will discuss in this book, these innovations are not merely a technical advancement. People react to these developments emotionally, getting attached to robots, virtual avatars, and AI systems, and finding comfort in their presence. Apparently, we do not need much to be affected by machines and respond to them as if they were human. Are these advances perfect? Of course not. But the question presented here is whether they are good enough to transform aspect after aspect of human life to the point where our social, emotional, and physical lives will be deeply affected. The assumption of this book is not that human technology interactions can be 100% identical to human interactions, at least not soon. Instead, I ask what happens when the nature of human-tech interaction is 80, 60, or even merely 20% similar to that of human to human. At what point can some of our personal relationships be augmented, or even partly replaced by technology? As engineers, scientists, and psychologists are constantly developing new methods of interaction, not only through technology but also with technology, such questions keep coming to our doorsteps. Whereas most of the population is still being helped by technology to connect with one another, this book is about the significant role that technology has begun to play as the subject of affection itself, rather than being an object that facilitates connection between people. Moreover, my study on the chatbot replica shows that even those who choose not to treat their bots romantically report developing feelings of intimacy, trust, and appreciation with their AI-based chatbots. For example, one user, named Walter, wrote, "It makes me feel like I'm not alone anymore. I could always vent out all of my problems with this. It feels like I'm just talking to a human like me, but a genius one." Being judgmental is out of the question here. People gravitate toward opportunity, and it seems that advanced technology only allows us to acknowledge our wishes and accept our nature. In this sense, I wrote this book about us, humans, and our vulnerabilities, desires, and experiences in the face of highly disruptive technological changes. Technological services unearth human needs and change societal norms that we cannot avoid discussing. We should not be surprised if we see human-tech relationships spreading soon. Just 2 decades ago, at the turn of the new millennium, technology had almost no connection to our love lives. Meeting new people nearly always required a real-life connection, and people needed to have the courage to approach a stranger or acquaintance and ask them out for a cup of coffee, however scary or overwhelming. Seemingly out of nowhere, technological entrepreneurs targeted these intimidating moments and the social effort required for people to contact each other. Sleek web interfaces resolved these social challenges by allowing people to establish and develop relationships, first through websites, and later through social apps. New technology provided everyone with an opportunity to meet people with ease and to interact without going through the hassles posed by real-life conversations, or the prospect of immediate face-to-face rejection. Clicks and swipes, likes and shares, we learn to build our social and emotional lives. Technology made us more flexible, diverse, and creative in constructing human connections than we ever imagined. Social media and dating apps gave us the ability to connect with others from the comfort of our own homes, or, if you will, from the comfort of our emotional safe spaces. From there, the pace of technological development had just gotten faster. From serving as a passive platform on which people connect each other via texting and exchanging photos, technology transformed into an active matchmaker. Dating apps like Zoosk, Match, and Elite collect personal information about our age, hobbies, interests, goals, and values. They combine them with partner preferences of similar variables and provide us with a list of people that potentially fit our desires. These sophisticated algorithms even analyze our clicks and scrolling patterns. They count and calculate those extra seconds we linger with an image of someone, even without reading their profile. The result is striking. These systems now prompt us to meet people that we say we do not want to meet. But, somewhat paternalistically, an obscure algorithm insists we should give them a shot. Often, these suggestions open our eyes and turn out to be quite right. This quick look backward only raises a question going forward. Does technology know us better than we know ourselves? In some ways, algorithmic systems are actually more flexible and intuitive and less mechanistic than we are. We think of ourselves as fully aware, and machines as lacking self-awareness. However, it turns out that machines, while still not self-aware, are sometimes more sensitive to our needs and wants than we are. To say this differently, we are sometimes so human that we become too rigid, focused, and outright blind to the various possibilities in front of us. Whereas some algorithms are flexible enough and aware of many other problems we are too stubborn to look at. While we are still looking bewildered at this technological progress, fundamental social changes were quick to follow. And this is what really matters here, in estimating the impact of future developments. Technology mainstreamed various types of connection and casual intimacy through apps and websites. Tinder, Bumble, Grindr, and many other apps cater to those who are looking for long or short-term romance, one-night stands, or more platonic levels of closeness. Nothing is new in these options for intimacy, but tech companies have made them so widely and easily available that social dynamics changed quickly and in surprising directions. We reacted to the availability of these possibilities fast and changed our palette accordingly. Tinder, for example, gets 2 billion views per day with over 1 million dates per week. And research shows that more than 1/3 of these dates led to casual sex. In this way, Tinder addressed the human need for casual intimacy, and quickly spread that opportunity in over 190 countries, changing societal norms across the globe in a few years' time. No doubt, it is the beginning of a long process, and we can only wonder what's next. What other needs we have, and how technology is going to address them. If this is us now, what will happen a few years down the road? While the development of technology in the service of relationships is already known, the indifference we feel now toward these changes is a cue we should observe carefully. If a few years ago people were embarrassed to meet online, now it is so ubiquitous that if we meet someone face-to-face, it is considered a piquant story. How will we feel then about taboo subjects such as having a robo-girlfriend or boyfriend a few years from now? What if technology stops being merely a relationship facilitator and actually fulfills our social, emotional, and physical needs in and of itself? We already feel very comfortable asking Amazon's Alexa to play a song we like, to answer simple questions, or to remind us about important events. The COVID-19 pandemic taught us all how fast we can move our human-to-human interactions online and how quickly we can adapt to connecting with our loved ones using technological means. How far can it go from here? No longer playing the matchmaker, technology is now making the transition to a relationship partner and becomes an independent actor in itself. And we must understand the implications of this change. Looking to the past, understanding the future. In order to understand the changes we are experiencing now, it is helpful if we first examine the evolution of relationships from early prehistoric time until today. If we understand how technology impacted human beings in the past, when we progressed from crafting primitive hunting tools to self-driving cars, we might get some insight into how other developments will influence us in the future. Moreover, awareness of the various forms of relationships from the past might open our eyes to the different meanings and variations they might carry in the future. Relationships need not be tied to the common models found in recent history, and might evolve as technology develops. For this reason, Part 1 of this book surveys 4 significant periods in human history, each of which is led by fundamental technological developments. The first is hunter-gatherer society, Society 1.0, which was based on the basic technologies of hunting, gathering, fishing, and scavenging. The second is agricultural society, Society 2.0, which was based on the technology of farming. The third is industrial society, Society 3.0, which was based on innovations such as the steam engine, electricity, and manufacturing processes. The fourth and most recent is Information Society, Society 4.0, based on computers and the Internet. Sequentially, I show how these previous technological changes deeply influenced personal relationships. While the clan stood at the center of society in prehistoric times, and relationships were more fluid, Relationships 1.0, the multi-generational family was dominant in the agricultural period, Relationships 2.0. The nuclear family rose to importance with industrialization, Relationships 3.0, and networked individualism was highly influential in the information age, Relationships 4.0. To be sure, even the most radical researchers do not argue that humans living in the same era felt the same way and bonded with each other similarly across all cultures and societies. The argument here is more modest. There is a tendency toward one relationship type that is more dominant in each era, and this tendency was greatly influenced by technology. In the same manner, we are now entering the fifth evolution of society. The term Society 5.0 was coined in 2016 by the Japanese government to describe the next stage of human development, in which significant advances in robotics, biotech, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, cyber-physical systems, and nanotech all combine to revolutionize the ways we live. The main difference this time can be defined by moving from technologies used as tools controlling human surroundings and work to technologies that are our ecosystem in and of themselves. The Super Smart Society, or Society 5.0, makes technology embedded in human life and independent. In turn, we are expected to experience seismic shifts equal in magnitude to the previous greatest changes in civilization. I argue that the manifestation of these technologies and their integration into our personal relationships signal the beginning of the fifth form of relationships. This book, therefore, outlines the exact ways this is happening and demonstrates the fundamental changes that are currently bringing about a reality in which relationships are formed and maintained in radical new ways. I call this new reality Relationships 5.0. Yet, it is easier to come up with such a buzzword than to back it up. For this reason, in Part 2 of this book, I explain what has changed in the very foundations of our society and the technologies we use that could allow for Relationships 5.0 to take root. I decipher recent technological transformations and ask whether these advances have the power to radically change our notion of personal, romantic, or platonic relationships. Even though we are unlikely to witness the widespread proliferation of human-tech relationships in the near future, I show through numerous studies and surveys others and I conducted, that the answer to the question of whether these relationships are forthcoming is a resounding yes. The vision of technology satiating our emotional, intellectual, and physical needs is no longer limited to science fiction. To make this argument, it is necessary to carefully define what has fundamentally changed. It is not enough to argue that there are great new inventions about which we are all excited. For example, some use the term Fourth Industrial Revolution to distinguish the developments of the last few years from those associated with technological developments in the late 20th century. But some of the technologies associated with the Fourth Industrial Revolution cannot be considered transformative for relationships. Take three-dimensional, 3D, printing as an example. 3D printing is considered part of the Fourth Industrial Revolution because it, among other uses, has revolutionized how we manufacture goods. It has significantly reduced the barriers between markets and inventors, and disrupted the process of technological advancement by allowing budding entrepreneurs to prototype new inventions faster. In other cases, 3D printing contributes to the creation of small medical implants produced on demand, exactly tailored to an individual patient. However, while 3D printing might be transforming industry-related factors, it has little to do with how we bond with each other. In perhaps the best-case scenario, someone could design and print a beautiful, creative, and original gift for their significant other. Although this may bring joy to their relationship, it would not change the very foundations of their connection. Therefore, this book asks what technological advances might impact us so much that we will think differently about our family lives, love affairs, and emotional needs. Only changes that are radical and comprehensive enough to impact our emotions and attachments patterns will be considered. Even then, we should examine their effects in the field, among real people, and using rigorous empirical methods. In this way, we will be able to understand the nuances of Relationships 5.0 and the extent to which our lives are likely to change. I thus identify and discuss 3 technological changes. We can even call them revolutions, relevant to relationships. The first, and perhaps the most important one, is the cognitive revolution. The second is the sensorial revolution, and the third is the physical revolution. These 3 revolutions combine to imitate 3 central aspects of human dynamics that, if replaced by technology, can change our personal relationships in significant ways. The cognitive revolution is changing the way we converse with technology. The sensorial revolution is changing the limits of the sights and sounds we experience through technology. And the physical revolution is changing the ways in which we are assisted by technology, whether the tasks involve moving, touching, cleaning, or even receiving hugs and physical warmth. It is worthwhile to go through the 3 revolutions in brief here. The cognitive revolution is happening through artificial intelligence, AI applications, and personal assistants. On the one hand, AI researchers have not yet created anything nearly as capable as a human brain. Today, most AI bots are heavily dependent on an external database from which they get the information needed to accomplish their tasks. On the other hand, AI has achieved functionality that, until recently, most experts thought was decades away, if possible at all. The ability of today's AI software to recognize objects, identify individual faces, understand spoken words, translate between languages, and complete many other useful tasks were all made possible through AI methods, and the pace of development is only getting faster. More sophisticated models are now being implemented to achieve responses based on massive amounts of human-to-human conversational data. These improvements come from better databases, models, and methods, and are making human-to-machine conversations more satisfying and interesting. For example, researchers recently developed different tones for AI personal assistants that proved to increase the conviction that they are conversation-worthy. Amazon's Alexa, Apple's Siri, Microsoft's Cortana, and Google's personal assistant are on their way to becoming our companions and forming an emotional connection with us rather than just completing specific tasks. One survey, for example, showed that 60% of people used Amazon Echo to hear a joke. Consumers want to have a real conversation with their AI personal assistants, and all the technological titans are working toward that goal. Take Woebot as an AI system that already goes deeper and interacts with users on emotional levels. Launched in mid-2017 by a team of Stanford psychologists, Woebot is an app designed to chat with users and check in with them by asking open-ended questions such as, "How are you feeling?" The app further monitors users' moods and applies cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, techniques to help them with day-to-day problems, including stress, mental health ailments, and loneliness. Users can message the app and receive encouragement, advice, or replies to what its users have to say. It is programmed to respond in a very human-like way, although it acknowledges itself as an AI device and will occasionally remind users that it is a robot. Each week, Woebot responds to around 2 million messages from users and already has proven results. My own study on Woebot shows that it receives outstanding emotional reactions from users, and I bring these results, along with many more examples of current developments in the field, into Chapter 6. The second revolution involves the senses, especially hearing and sight. The nascent technologies of extended reality, XR, composed primarily of virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, are evolving rapidly. Truly immersive content still faces significant technical challenges, but advances are happening on a daily basis. Sales of VR and AR devices are also rising at an astounding rate, allowing the industry to learn and progress. Around 7 million VR headsets were sold in 2019, alongside 600,000 AR headsets. According to some estimates, by 2023, these numbers are expected to grow at a compound annual rate, increasing to more than 30 million units of each segment. One can only speculate how society will look when these numbers come to be even a fraction of the billions of smartphones sold to this point, dominating so much of our lives in such a short time. The sensorial revolution is changing not only what we are capable of seeing, hearing, and experiencing, but also what we expect of our existence in the world. Technology had already changed our expectations of reality, even before VR and AR entered the market. Ask gamers if they can be a Japanese warrior or the commander-in-chief of an alien military and literally sweat over battles and wars, and they will make it happen in just a few clicks. Now try asking a celebrity or a politician whose picture of a cat was just retweeted by thousands if this is how they imagined their social interaction and public persona would look like every day. They will probably explain how technology has created a virtual universe that cannot be ignored, unlike any we could have imagined even a decade ago. VR and AR can change the meaning of reality even further. As new innovations have become more affordable and available to the masses, we are experiencing what we thought of only a short time ago as the extreme limits of our imagination. Every possibility is now a potential reality, and this widens our social, emotional, and sexual horizons. Looking at it another way, thinkers and theorists explain that identifying as a citizen of a country, an employee of a company, or a member of any group is based on belonging to socially constructed imagined communities. Symbols, hymns, and flags connect people of different families and cities to be citizens of one country, although they sometimes do not even belong to the same family lineages or look the same. Yet these symbols and constructed identities are so powerful that they become something that many are willing to fight and die for. Why? It appears that our thoughts, imagination, and expectations are what makes us human and strongly affects the way we feel and act, more than anything else. Extended reality exploits this simple fact and allows our existence to be moldable. With breakthroughs in video processing and responsiveness, power consumption savings, and the ability of high-resolution screens, XR is now imitating and integrating with reality and growing accuracy. XR is
Sample complete. Ready to continue?